So, a lot of people tend to get creeped out by looking at the TV screen when it's off. Not me. Definitely not me. I always tend to find it soothing. So soothing. I always put my hand on it, waiting for my other self to touch it. After he smiles, I love to see him smiling. A lot of people tend to avoid me. I'm the freak of the neighborhood. I see many people every day just look at me and start walking at the edge of the sidewalk. I was always waiting for one day for someone that I can feel shake my hand and call me their friend. However, my long wait was soon going to be over because he came. His name was Alex. His brown short hair, brown eyes, white-skinned, and always had a grin that got you to smile. He bumped into me one day and ended up falling on the ground. Nervously, I was waiting for him to push me on the floor like the others did and say, "Watch where you're going, you freak." Not him. No way. I covered my face from a push, punch, or spit, but he proceeded to calm me down. He said he was sorry and that it was his fault. Worriedly, I kept my distance and I tried to walk away, but as my back turned, he invited me over for dinner. I nervously agreed and he gave me directions. The next day, I left to go to Alex's place, but got lost on the way there. I just went home, sad and depressed because I was looking forward to it. So, I went to my bedroom and looked at my TV. The other me on the TV screen looked at me with curious eyes and I told him what happened. He started motioning to walk outside and breathe the fresh air, but I just disagreed and said I wanted to be alone. He stood up and walked away, but I begged him to come back. I ran to the living room and he was there in the TV laughing. He knew I really didn't want to be alone. He motioned me to smile. Then he motioned me to watch and he spoke. I say, "I can't hear," but then his voice entered my ears at such a low volume, but I still made out the words. "You can hear me now." I smiled excitedly because now I can hear my friend. He sounds exactly like me, but sadder. I asked him why he sounded so sad and he replied, "Because when you feel sad, I know. You can't hide your feelings from me." I was confused, but he continued, "I don't know why I do. It's hard to explain, but we both have a special bond. No one will ever understand you like I do." I smiled again and he opened the fridge and the TV. The fridge in my house opened and I heard the milk getting taken out. I'm not too bugged by it anymore, but when it first happened, holy shit was I scared. A floating cup filled with chocolate milk was handed to me, and so was a Monopoly board. That was our favorite game. However, we were never able to finish a whole game. We played for a while and I ended up getting tired. "Go to bed," I hear. It's getting late. I look at him and he's motioning me to smile. I do. The next day, I was walking to my job and stumbled upon Alex again. He asked me where I was yesterday and I explained that I got lost. He then asked me if I wanted to try and finding his place again, and I refused. He came closer and said, "What if I went to your place?" Afraid of possibly hurting his feelings, I agreed. I got back home and prepared dinner for Alex's visit. My other self was annoyed about the visit and refused to help. I don't like other people. All they do is hurt you. I explained to him that Alex was different and he didn't hurt me when I accidentally knocked him down. I don't like him. I hear the doorbell ring and open the door. Alex brought over a photo album. After we ate, I learned that Alex was new in town and that he was an artist. He explained that the reason he was intrigued of me is because I looked a lot like one of his drawings. That ended up showing me. It shocked me. It looked exactly like me. My pale white face, short spiky black hair, and white hoodie I always wear, and my black jeans. It showed me sitting on a bus bench alone as it rained. The scene is lit only by a lamppost. You can't see buildings, grass, or cars, only me, bench, lamppost, and a little bit of the road and sidewalk. The painting brought tears to my eyes. I looked so sad and alone. Don't cry. I looked and surprised to find out that Alex had said it. I hugged him and said, "It's beautiful. It's beautiful." Then he kissed me. I didn't know he was gay. How did he know I was? I didn't hold back though. I didn't push him away. We then chuckled at our experience and I offered to make him some hot chocolate. He accepted and I was happy to hear his exception. No one likes hot chocolate, especially in the summer. I knew it. He's different from the rest. He'll hurt you. I turned to see the television and my other self is staring angrily at Alex. I turned the TV on to prevent Alex from seeing this. I grabbed the hot chocolate and quickly gave it to Alex. "You alright?" he asked. "I'm just tired," I answered. "No, you're not." Alex and I continued to talk. When it got really late, he left. He gave me his number, we kissed goodbye, and I closed the door. What was this I'm feeling? Love? We only had one dinner, it can't be. I thought and thought at my head on the door. I heard knocking and thought it was Alex. I opened the door to find no one there. The voice enters my ears again, and his voice sounded darker. "You shouldn't have let him come in," he continued. "You shouldn't have let him kiss you." Afraid, I quickly walked to my room and went to bed. The next day I called Alex and he said, "Good morning, amazing man." I smiled on the phone and asked if I can come over. He gave me the directions and told me not to get lost again. I laughed and said I won't. I hung up the phone excited. I was going to see him again. Then I heard the fridge open and stuff being thrown on the floor. "Stop!" I yelled. "Why are you so upset?" "You're betraying me." "How am I betraying you?" "Hurt me." He then stopped. He wouldn't even answer. I looked at the TV and he was gone. I ran to my bedroom and he wasn't in that TV either. I ran to my bathroom and basement. He wasn't in those either. I heard the door slam and ran back upstairs, but he was gone. All that was left was a cup of hot chocolate on the table. Later I got myself together and left to Alex's house. I knocked on his door and he answered. Only he was scared. He said he was hearing things and I comforted him saying that cliché, everything is going to be fine. I grabbed his hand and asked where the bedroom was. He showed me and asked him to lie down and to relax. I gave him a massage so he could feel better. After a while, I looked at the TV. I stopped what I was doing. I saw him looking straight at me with a rage-filled expression. I pulled Alex back up and he pushed me on the bed and started to kiss me more. I tried to push him back because I knew where it was heading. He stopped and smiled. He said that it was okay and helped me back up. I looked at the TV and saw his eyes staring at Alex. I pushed Alex out of the bedroom and said, "Make me a sandwich," thinking I was fooling around. Alex said, "Alright, only if you wash my clothes later." I followed him to the kitchen and saw that Alex was starting to make dinner. I smiled and said, "What about my sandwich?" "This is better," he replied and smiled towards me. "Sit down in the living room. I promise you, it'll taste great." I went to the living room and was about to turn on the TV when I saw him again. His dark, menacing look of pure hatred staring directly at me. He laughed and he sounded insane. It echoed in my ears and sounded far yet really close to my ear at the same time. Why are you so angry at me? You're supposed to be happy for me. Traitor, you'll pay. I saw him fade from the TV screen. Afraid of what I saw, I wanted to tell Alex, but he'll think I'm crazy. I couldn't. Even I wouldn't have believed me. Almost ready, Alex yelled. I started to calm and turn on the TV. I was surfing through the channels and found the movie Marley and Me. I remembered the whole movie by heart and I loved it. The dog always is wrecking stuff and yet the owner always loving him. Showing the pure and loving friendship that me and I had then. The kids in my neighborhood let the dog loose, and I posted posters all over the city for him to be found. The people here hated that dog and took them all down. Then I found him. He was dead in the middle of the street 5 blocks away from my house. I walked all the way home carrying my friend. I buried him in my backyard, and after weeks of grieving his loss, I found someone. My other self in the TV screen, just looking at me and smiling, always motioning me to smile. I realized that it was taking too long for Alex to have the food ready. I walked to the kitchen when I saw there was a TV in the kitchen. I looked at the stove and saw Alex cowering in the corner. Look at him. I walked towards Alex and he stared directly at me, his eyes full of fear. I kneeled and hugged him. He was just staring at me, he whispered. Just staring. I didn't know how to tell you. Would you have believed if I did? No. How could I? How could have I? I looked at the TV to see my other self standing right over us. I'm frozen in fear. I see him grabbing the knife in the kitchen. We hear his footsteps, and as he takes the knife, Alex holds me tighter. He walks back to us, and I see him start forming right in front of our very eyes. Dark smoke coming together to make this eerie dark black figure. I scream like I've never done before. I hear Alex praying for God to save him. I hold Alex tighter, but then I get ripped from my embrace and thrown against the other side of the room. I see Alex staring at the black figure. Alex laughs. He just laughs. The figure stabs Alex in the stomach and starts cutting him apart. I watch in horror as organs and blood cover the kitchen floor for what seemed like hours. I couldn't move. I just couldn't move. I stared at the figure, just dismantling my poor Alex. When it was done, the figure turned to me and motioned me to smile. Then he started fading and disappeared forever.